There's nowhere to run when you're 100 meters deep, sealed in a metal coffin, with the ocean's pressure crushing every inch of your casing. The rarefied air mixes with the smell of diesel oil, sweat, and the heavy breath of fear. The darkness is so dense, it seems to have weight. But the true terror isn't the depth, nor the darkness, nor even the constant threat of an enemy attack. It's the chilling certainty that you are not alone. In 1918, at the height of World War I, the German war machine produced submarines at a relentless pace. But one of them, the UB-65, was already a dark legend, even before it touched the icy waters of the Atlantic. From the shipyard, an aura of misfortune surrounded it. Unexplained accidents claimed the lives of workers. Crane collapses, boiler explosions. Each death was a whisper, a warning no one dared to verbalize, but which hung heavy in the salty air. But the real horror began with a muffled bang, a sound that tore through the tense silence of the deck. A torpedo, inexplicably, detonated on the submarine itself, transforming Second Officer Peterson into an unrecognizable mass. His body was gone, but his presence, that remained. A cold shadow, a persistent echo that refused to be silenced. Days later, the UB-65 was already on patrol. A claustrophobic sardine, submerged in the cold, dark waters of the Atlantic. The metal groaned and creaked under the colossal pressure, each crack a reminder of the fragility of its hull. The weak, yellowish lights flickered intermittently, plunging the narrow corridors into dancing shadows that seemed to writhe and observe. The constant hum of the machinery was a monotonous mantra, a perpetual reminder of the isolation between life and death. It was then that the whispers began, low at first, then more insistent, until they became muffled screams of terror. Sailors, with wide eyes and voices choked with dread, swore they had seen Officer Peterson. Not a fleeting glimpse, but a pale figure, with arms crossed over his chest, standing in the torpedo room, staring at them in the gloom. The exact same spot where he had last been seen, before the explosion that disintegrated him. His skin was an unhealthy white, his eyes empty. He didn't speak, he didn't move. He just watched, a silent, icy presence that sucked the warmth from any environment. Imagine the panic, being trapped dozens of meters deep, with no chance of escape, in a space so confined. And, to make matters worse, being there with a walking corpse, a ghost that seemed to have returned from the abyss to haunt them. The already heavy air became even denser with fear, with a metallic smell of terror. Sanity drained away like oxygen. Paranoia set in, transforming every shadow, every sound, every reflection into a threat. Who would be the next to go mad? One sailor, in an absolute fit of despair, unable to bear another second of that psychological torture, threw himself into the turbulent sea. Others refused to work, paralyzed by terror, their eyes fixed on the dark corridors, awaiting the next apparition. Discipline disintegrated, replaced by a growing hysteria. If you've ever felt your heart race in a crowded elevator, or your throat dry in total darkness, or the dread of being trapped in a tiny, inescapable space, perhaps you can understand a little of the visceral terror these men felt. The collective hysteria reached an unsustainable point. The Imperial German Navy, in an unprecedented act of desperation, had to call a pastor. Yes, a military exorcism, a bizarre and desperate attempt to purify the submarine of the ghost of war that haunted it. Only after the ritual, with the promise that evil had been expelled, did the crew, still trembling and with eyes full of distrust, agree to sail again. But the curse of the UB-65 had not ended. It was merely waiting for the right moment to manifest itself again. Months later, the fate of the UB-65 would be sealed as mysteriously as its history. An American submarine spotted the UB-65 on the surface. It was an easy prey, a perfect target. But before the Americans could fire a single torpedo, the German submarine mysteriously exploded from the inside out. A terrifying spectacle that lasted only seconds before the wreckage began to sink rapidly, taking the entire crew and Peterson's ghost to the bottom of the abyss, where the eternal silence of the ocean would keep its secrets forever. No one aboard the American submarine could explain what they saw. The mystery of the UB-65 remains, a dark and inexplicable scar on naval history, a tale of terror that echoes through the decades. Was it the curse of a haunted ship, a vengeful spirit refusing to leave its post, or the human mind pushed to its limits by isolation, or the extreme stress of war? that created its own monster. A collective delusion that manifested so realistically it led to destruction. If you enjoyed this dark and disturbing story, don't forget to subscribe to the Shadow AA channel for more mysteries and horrors that defy explanation. Comment below. Do you think the crew was a victim of a collective delusion caused by toxic gases and extreme stress? Or did that submarine truly carry a ghost of war?